up, guys, and welcome back to O-Face Off-Road. Today is finally the day that we're going to go ahead and get started tearing this thing down. This is going to be a process of over probably a couple days. Get this thing fully stripped down, and then we're going to get underneath and we're going to start looking at it and go down and start buying all the steel to reinforce the unibody and to build the new cross support with the actual motor mounts mounted to that, because we're going to have to drop that whole subframe out that the IFS is attached to, the independent front suspension. So your lower A-arms bolt onto that, the bottom of that subframe, and on the top of that subframe is where your motor mounts are. So we're going to have to support the engine with the engine hoist, and then we'll drop that subframe out, and then we're going to have to fabricate something up with the new motor mounts on it. Once we get that done, we're going to jump into reinforcing the unibody, and then we'll start getting the axle ready for the front. And then once we're all finished with the front, we're going to be moving on to the rear. So yeah, stick with us. It's going to be a fun couple of days. Alright, so I had to end the video the other day. We had to take the kids to the park to go play baseball. So I got started on it right now, and I totally forgot to have the camera rolling. Just so excited to get out here and work after working all day. So let me just show you what I did real quick. So the other day I got all of the suspension out, everything from the front. The only thing I did not take out is the subframe, because you can't take the subframe out until you have the engine supported by an engine hoist. Because when you drop the 4 bolts, I think it's 4 bolts is what I can see. It looks like there's only 4 bolts in the subframe. When you drop that out, if you don't have that engine supported, everything's going to fall down. You don't want that. So make sure you have that engine supported before you drop the subframe out. And the subframe is what the lower A-arms are bolted to. So I'll show you that right now. All right. So from the front, you can see this is all subframe here, and then it goes up on here like that, all the way around and down over to this cross support here. That's all part of the subframe, and that all has to come out because our links are going to be mounted to the what would be the frame rail of the unibody after we reinforce that. So when you look underneath here, see we got a bolt right here. There's another one all the way on that side, and then same thing over here. We've got a bolt right here, and there's another one on the other side. That's all I can see as far as how to bolt the subframe up. There might be more, but I don't think so. But the shitty thing is that they decided to put the motor mounts are mounted to the upper side of this bar here on both sides. So you have to have that engine supported before you drop the subframe out. I can't stress that enough. Make sure you pay attention to that part. What I did so far today, I didn't do too much. You can see the front drive shaft hanging here. It's four bolts over there on the ground next to that wrench. I believe they're 15 millimeter if I remember right. They do have thread locker on them, so you need to break them loose. They can be tight. I don't mess with putting the transfer case in neutral and all that stuff like people say. Just get an impact in there, use some good old, elbow grease. I was able to put a wrench from this side on 2 of the bolts, and it was that wrench laying over there. Put it on there, grab my sledgehammer that's laying over there, and hit it and knock them loose. And then I was able to finish taking them out with a ratchet. The other one, or the other 2, I had to get in there with my impact with an extension and a wobble head, which is kind of a pain in the butt because everything underneath here is super tight. So it was kind of a pain in the butt getting in there, but we got it loose. Then that over there is the floating front differential, and that goes, as you guessed, right here in this empty cavity. It goes straight across here, and then you can see right there is the mount for one side, and then over here, I hope I got it in frame, I can't see, but there's a mount on this side, and underneath the front of this cross support right here, let's see, right there, those 2 holes that have threads in them, that is the front mount. And then I'll show you on this thing what it looks like. It's pretty simple. So yeah, this is your front mount, has the 2 bolts that go through the bottom. This is the passenger side over here, and that one over there is the pain in the ass. That's the one that's next to the front drive shaft. You have to get the front drive shaft out first, then you can take that bolt out. But I highly recommend you take the nut off of that bolt, leave the bolt in place, because you can pull that out by hand. If you just push up on the bottom of this, you can use the other hand to pull the bolt out, but leave that in there to support it. Then come over here to this one, take the nut off, same thing, leave the bolt in, come over here, loosen one up, and then if you're using an impact, it's going to come out really quick. So then take it and just put a few threads back in so it'll hold it, and then drop this one all the way out, and now it'll rest on this one here. So now you'll have all 3 bolts ready to come out. And then you do what I do, and you're going to need an extra set of hands for this. You take the jack and you come up over here, jack up underneath it, take the pressure off all of those bolts, have somebody else work the jack handle to loosen it up, and you're going to climb underneath there like I did and balance it on the jack, and it's heavy as hell. So 2 things: make sure your air breather line is off, That's what I didn't do, and that's why I ended up with a little bit of oil on the ground. So I got to clean that up. But you pop that rubber hose off. There shouldn't be a hose clamp on it or anything. It just pops off. And then that one clip is super simple to take off. Pop that clip off. That's your electrical. We're not going to be using that anyways with the new setup. So if you break that clip, who cares? Just get that off, because you don't want to get underneath there and have somebody working the jack and you're trying to lower that thing down and it snags like I did on the breather hose. So make sure you have, that's the breather hose there, and that's the plug. Make sure you have those off. Then you can have your guy go ahead and loosen up the handle. My 9-year-old daughter actually did it, which was nice. And I was under there holding that differential in place while she was lowering it down. So we were able to get it out. All this stuff, let me flip the camera around. All right, so all this stuff is, you know, it's common sense based. I know I didn't go through and, you know, hold anyone's hand with taking everything apart. But if you don't kind of know how this stuff comes apart, this is going to be a bigger job than you thought. You got to have kind of basic knowledge on cars and taking them apart. I can't run through it bolt by bolt. It's just going to take too long to get the video done that way. But it's not very difficult. You know, you're in the subframe here. This is where your lower A-arm bolts up right here. It pops right. It has the knuckle that goes right in the middle here with the bolt that goes through. That's just a bolt and a nut. Over here on this side, it's 2 bolts. I think they either come through the bottom or go through the top, and then 2 nuts. Take those out and your lower A-arm comes out. As far as the axle shafts, where they go into the differential there, you can knock those out like with a hammer. Once you get everything loose, you can get like a pry bar in there and, you know, beat on it with a hammer and get it to separate from the case. It's just stuck in there. There's nothing from the inside of the case. You don't have to take that apart or anything to get the axles out. So they'll just come right out. Let's see. The axle nut on the outside of the spindle, you'll have to take that off, and then you'll have to unbolt your strut. It bolts through the top here, and the strut comes down, and then it's going to go down to the low, I believe the lower A-arm. So it has like a fork that goes over your axle shaft, and then it has a bolt that goes through the lower A-arm. You'll have to get that bolt out. And if you watched earlier in the video the other day when I was taking that all apart, it took me quite a while because I don't know the exact way to do it. You just kind of have to figure out how to get it done. And if you saw, I wrapped the spindle after I took out the upper ball joint. I took the castle nut off. So you pull the pin, the cotter pin, take the castle nut off, and then you're going to smack that with a sledgehammer up on the threads on the bolt part and knock that upper ball joint out of the spindle. Then you just take your spindle, and I wrapped a tie down around it, and you know, just pretty tight. That way, when I took everything off on the bottom, I didn't have to worry about it slapping out. So, and it almost did, but the tie down worked really well. So these are super simple to get to. All these posts hold your fuse boxes onto the mount here, and then there's just 3 studs. Let's see, you can see one right here, you can see one over here, and there's one down there. You can't really see it, but it's right there. Those are really small. I want to say it was like 10 millimeter or something here. I think I have it right here. Yeah, so that was just a 10 millimeter socket to get those nuts off, and these are the nuts that come off of it. So yeah, these just slide right off, and then you take those 3 bolts off, take that off, and then you have access to all 4 of those nuts on top to take out your strut. And on the other side, it's even easier. If you take any multi-tool, the screwdriver multi-tool, and pop off your hose clamps right here. There's 2 of them. There's one on here and there's one on here. You just loosen them up, pop that off, take the hose off, and then you have your coolant reservoir right here. It's got, you can literally just look at the legs that come off of it and find the holes, the bolts. It's super simple. This one right here is the one on the back side. That one just slides off once you get the other 2 out. So you'll have one that's right here, that comes off, and then there's another one, I think right here is where the other coolant reservoir bolt is, and then this one over here just slides out and off. So the coolant reservoir comes out. You don't even have to take the top off the air cleaner, but this is going to come out because we're obviously going to do an aftermarket air cleaner and programmer and all that fun stuff. So, but that opens this up so that you can come in here and get those nuts out. This cross support's going to be coming out, and when we're going to be cutting all this out, and we're going to be building our shock towers in here, and then we'll have our new cross support that's going to go over, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, on the other side, passenger side, everything is literally the same. If you wanted to take off like bolt by bolt, you could take off a bolt on this side and go on the other side and take off that bolt, so you don't have to keep switching sockets and guessing which one works, you know, for what bolt and this and that. It's the same socket sizes on both sides for every bolt. So it's super simple. It's the same thing for your calipers. That's just 2 bolts and the caliper slides off. I'm not reusing these calipers because the new 1-ton axles over there already have their own calipers. So we're not even reusing these things. So you could, you know, essentially unbolt your line. Just, you know, you're going to be losing some fluid. So be ready to catch that fluid. And then you could take these off. I just wanted to hurry up and get all the suspension out because I'm kind of in a hurry to get the strip down done, because that's like the most annoying part. I like doing the fabrication work and I cannot stand prep. So that's why I just left those hanging for now. I mean, I'll probably get annoyed with them and just come in and cut them. But yeah, let's see what else. When you do finally get the engine supported, and you're gonna come in here and drop these out, you're gonna wanna take off your power steering lines and everything, because you have your rack and pinion right here, which is what controls your steering left to right. And that does have the power steering fluid lines going to it. I don't know if you can see them with the camera. They're back in there. So those are going to need to come out before you can drop that subframe out. The rack and pinion, and I'm just learning all this with you guys right now. I don't know if you can see right there. Yep, there it is. So there's a bolt there, and there's a bolt on the other side. I'm not sure if there's another one, but we'll find out when we get up in there. And then you have your steering bar that comes down over there too. We'll have to remove all of that. And then we can go ahead and drop that subframe out. So just wanted to catch you guys up. That's where we are so far. Yeah, I felt bad because I wasn't filming, and then after my stepdaughter came out and helped me get the front differential out, I was like, oh shoot, I probably should have put that on the video so you guys could see how to get it out. But it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure anyone with a little common sense could figure out what I did there, especially with the video. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to answer anything that I can for you. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully you're able to get it from that video. But yeah, we'll just keep moving on from there. All right, so I got the mess cleaned up from the front differential. Got the engine hoist all set up here. Trying to kind of fast forward for you guys. Now, you know, learning as we go. There was a bolt sticking out right here. I was talking to my brother, and he was saying pretty much any bolt that goes into the block. So hopefully that one's strong enough to hold this in place. There's like over 500 pounds sitting right there with that V8. But yeah, I put a nut on the back side of it so the chain can't slip off or anything. Got me a short stubby chain, got it on the hook. And I jacked it up, and the bolt didn't seem to bend or anything, so I think we should be all right. The motor was lifting up just a little bit, so I think we should be okay. We're going to go ahead and start underneath here. I've got to get those motor mounts out. I'm going to see if I can kind of maneuver this camera a bit so you guys can get kind of an angle on it and see what we're working with here. So just give me a second, be patient with me. All right, let's see what we can do. You can kind of see it there. That's the motor mount right there on top. And then we have one on this side too, so maybe I can maneuver the camera around so you can see both of them. But yeah, I gotta figure out what size socket we need and figure out a plan of attack on it. Can't even get my creeper in here, so this is gonna suck with a bad back. And guys, safety is everything, all right? I've got these, I think they're 12-ton jack stands. And even those make me nervous. I don't even like that. So underneath the trans support under there, the trans mount, I've got my jack even jacked up on it too. And we've got an engine hoist to this thing. So hopefully, I think it's like 2,300 pounds on the front. No, maybe even more. Maybe it might be like 2,600 pounds, something like that on the front end. You know, hopefully. Let's see if we can get this camera somewhere. It's not going to be in my way. Get over. Maybe over here. Jeez. This is not an easy way to do this. Alright, well, hopefully you can see. If not, I'm sorry. I'll show you when we're done. All right, 18 millimeter on the front side of that bolt, and 18 millimeter on the back side. So, ugh, God, fucking black widow webs. Ugh, I hate spiders. That shit is disgusting. But I've had this thing out a lot off-roading, so if there are any spiders in there, they got to be half retarded with all the bouncing around that we've done. Especially with as nasty as this suspension has been, it has not been fun at all riding around and suspension is clanking on the coil. So if there's any spiders in there, they deserve to bite me, I guess. All right, let's see. Alright, so I'm gonna hit it with the impact on an extension from the front. I'm gonna try. All right, I'll be right back. I gotta see if I have another 18. Oh, shit. Whew. Round 2. Fight. You motherfucker. Right in the nuts. Perfect. Tell you what, this whole fucking working on shit by yourself sucks. Oh, I was right in the left nut. At least it wasn't the right one, I guess. Fuck. Alright. Now we're doing the other side. Let's see if I can move this guy around. You guys can watch me get hit in the nuts again. Shit is fucking tight under here. Let's see. Kind of barely, kind of see it. That's our other one. So it's an 18 on both sides. For the other side, I'm sure it'll be the same for this one. But sometimes mechanics or engineers are pretty fucking stupid. And they use different bolt sizes for the same fucking application. We gotta check. Alright, that is an 18 on this side. I'm going to check the other side. Alright, perfect. It's an 18 on that side as well. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. See if we can get this up through here. I don't know. Look at that. Alright, let's try it without killing ourselves. Well, that's sketchy. This side of the bolt started backing out. The other side, the nut started backing out. Hope you got good ab muscles. I don't. All right, so now that bolt is ready. Not liking how tight those bolts are still, so I'm gonna get my ass out of here and I'm gonna work on jacking up that engine a little bit more. I wanna mess with the stand, see if those bolts loosen up at all. Try and take the tension off the bolt at the motor mount. See if those things will slide out. That'll let me know if I have that engine fully supported. There we go, that engine went up. It just, the whole thing's lifting up now. So I think we're looking pretty good actually. All right, the one side just pulled right out. So all I did was I jacked up the engine hoist just a little bit. So I'm guessing you can see that bolt up there. Hopefully this one comes out as smoothly as the other one just did. Yep, see how nice and easy that is now? So now we know that we're fully supported of the engine weight. And the nice thing about that bolt being in the middle is it centered the motor, so both engine mounts were loose. So when I drop that subframe out, it should keep the engine fairly level. So that is one thing you're going to want to check. It's kind of nice having that intake on there that you can kind of cross check with the strut support bar going across there. So when you go to fabricate your mounts up on the bottom down there, you're going to fabricate them up to the frame rail on the side. You want to check and make sure that your air box is still pretty level with that support bar up there. So that'll kind of give you an idea where you're at. And yeah, we're perfectly centered where the motor's supposed to be at right now. So we can go ahead. Now I feel much more comfortable going and dropping out that subframe. And I kind of pushed my engine hoist just a hair towards the back of the vehicle just to put the chain at an angle like this. So when you're underneath there dropping out that subframe, just try not to bump the engine hoist at all. But I just wanted to keep all the pressure going towards the back instead of coming towards the front of that bolt. So next I'm going to move on to, I think I'm going to unbolt the rack and pinion under there, and then we'll see if that supports its own weight. I'm not quite sure. Like I said, this is a learning curve for me as well, guys. So we're going to see if that rack and pinion will kind of hold itself up there with the steering the steering column or the steering bar coming down to it. Yeah, then hopefully we'll be able to drop that subframe out, and we can start. We'll probably cut the mounts off of that subframe and then fabricate them to the sidewall, I guess. So yeah, see how that goes. All right, so I'm kind of done for the day. I'm gonna go over what I did with you guys underneath just to kind of show you. So on top of the support here, right underneath, you can see the oil filter right there. Right there, there's the oil filter. Underneath that is a drain spout that they put on there. I've never seen this on a vehicle. That's kind of neat. And so that goes up and over it so that when you're changing your filter, it drips right down that spout and comes out the front. There's two bolts. There's one right here, and then you can actually see right through on the other side. There's another one on the other side. They're not attached to each other, just small little bolts. Take those out, and then you'll kind of pry that whole piece out and around and down. Take that thing off there so that you can access the power steering lines that go to the rack and pinion. So after looking at this thing, you are going to have to detach those from the rack and pinion. Let's see if we can get up there and get a good look at it. So right there you can see the two threaded ports there where the fluid's leaking out of. That's the top side of the rack and pinion, and then right above that is where your steering bar, connector column, whatever the hell you call it, comes down from the steering wheel down to the rack and pinion, and then it turns inside there and it pretty much directs the fluid which way it needs to go. Kind of essentially works like a double-ended steering ram, like the hydraulic steering that we're going to be putting in here, except for there's no mechanical connection. So anyhow, on that where the steering bar meets the rack and pinion up there, right on the side right there, you can see the hole. There's a bolt right there, so you can turn that to the side where you can access it from the bottom. And I actually put a deep socket on there, and was able to, or an impact socket, and then used a wrench, a socket wrench, and was able to get that out. So you're going to take that bolt out. You're going to pop off that little oil catch thing that was up here. Take that thing off, and then you get in there with an 18mm wrench and you pop those lines off, and it's going to start dripping. So I've got my bucket here. You can see there's quite a bit of fluid in there. On the front here, this hard line mounts on in these holes here, there and there and here. So you'll want to take those bolts out and before you undo them from the rack and pinion, so that way this line here can flex down and hang in the bucket and start draining. Now I think my engine hoist might have a leak in the hydraulic ram, so it looked like the motor had dropped during this time while I was underneath here working. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and wait until tomorrow to do anything, because I want to let this thing settle and see if it is actually falling. So I don't want to fabricate my motor mounts in the wrong place. So I want to make sure they're in the right spot. So yeah, I just have to wait. And then if they are in the wrong spot, then I'm going to have to figure something out on how to stabilize that engine so I can fabricate the mounts in the correct location. So yeah, that's it for tonight. But as for the subframe, it appears that it's ready to be dropped out. So as soon as I figure out if the engine hoist is stable or not, then I can go ahead and drop out that subframe. It's ready to come out. And so we'll go over that. I'll have the camera rolling when we drop that out. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, we're on to another day. Came out today and got underneath there and checked, and the cherry picker was in fact losing pressure, so it was dropping. It was actually all the way down the arm, even with no weight on it. It was still falling. So just the weight of the arm was the only thing on the hydraulic ram. So went down to Harbor Freight and got a new one, and it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. This thing's awesome. Might kick the generator or the air compressor on, but check this out. So much better. $130. So if you guys don't have one of those and you use your cherry picker at all, it's impressive. So it goes, I think it's like 24 inch to 43 inch max. So yeah, thing's pretty awesome. 8 ton. Just make sure that your cherry picker is able to handle that much weight. So yeah, anyhow, now what I'm going to be doing is getting underneath there. I was already kind of mapping it out today to see how I wanted to go about doing this. Yeah, I'm going to drop the subframe out, and then I went down to the steel yard and I picked up some angle iron to reinforce the front end of the unibody on the inside. So then I have also something to weld to for the new motor mount. So I'm going to be fabricating some new motor mounts for it. It's probably going to be one of the most difficult parts, is trying to fabricate those motor mounts, just because of the weird angles that they have them at. It's not just a square 90-degree angle like you would think. You know, of course, engineers have to make them to where you can't fabricate your own very easily. So yeah, it'll be fun. But yeah, we're gonna get to it. So I'm gonna cut and get everything ready, and then I'll turn it back on when I start taking some bolts out. All right, either this is gonna be a stroke of genius or it's gonna be a catastrophe. But it's gonna be an 18mm socket to get this bolt off and the other bolt, and I'm imagining these ones as well. Yeah, I've got the jack up here on a piece of this 3/16 2-inch square tubing. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen these up and take them down. I'm assuming this thing's going to be pretty damn heavy, but I don't have any other way to do this. I don't have an extra set of hands, so I'm kind of just doing this on my own. So pray for me. Bombs away. looks like it's getting hung up on that frickin' steering column. I was kind of worried about that. Shit. I mean, the good news is it's heavy, but it's not crazy heavy. So that's a good thing. Gotta count our blessings, I guess. Got that off. There we go. All right, I don't see anything else holding it up. Not bad. I was expecting a lot more noise. Oh, shit. Big old fucker. Holy shit, look at all the room under here. Damn. All kinds of room for articulation.